Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode or edition of Between the Thin Blue Line. I'm here, Juan Cloy with
Ernest Perry.
Ernest Perry has made it in the house. If you all notice something different, because I had to operate off my phone. All of this great studio equipment, this nice microphone, and this other camera up here, and my laptop are totally inoperable because my computer is stuck on Wi-Fi tonight. About 20 minutes ago, it decided it wanted to jump to Wi-Fi and will not go back to regular Wi-Fi mode. So if you notice some little sweat, I've been sweating frantically trying to figure this out. And so we're actually on the phone here tonight. So if you can see us, you're going to see me do this periodically because I need to get to the phone because if you can see us and you're already on here and you can hear us okay, please just send me a yes, you can hear me. If you can't hear me, then I've got some things that I probably need to do to disconnect here. So if you can hear me, anybody just put up a comment that you can hear me. And if you can't hear me, I'm going to do this. Can you hear me? Um, and maybe somebody else put up. Go. Can you hear that?
I'm on here.
If you can't hear me, okay, we're good. Okay, well, you're good. Okay. So Ernest is on his Facebook page, so he can hear me. So that's good. So we've got some guests coming in. Hopefully, if I can see them come in the studio. Here, I usually have like 3 phones set up. Oh, by the way, my other phone that I had set up, it had this is what it had come up. If you can see that, and I can't shut it off. My phone will not, this other phone will not shut off. So this is the phone I use to look at the comments. I look at to see what you see on Facebook or what you see on YouTube. So
I know how to shut it off.
I know you do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't want to
Okay,
do
okay.
that. I don't want to throw it
Okay,
down and
okay.
break
I
it.
can shut it off for you.
But we have some guests coming in the studio. Okay, good, Jerome. Appreciate it, Mr. Cooper. Said he can hear us. So we're gonna wait on them, and if they don't come through, uh, that's my football coach, Coach Blackman, uh, texted me. uh, okay, so um, we have some stuff to talk about tonight. Man, to be honest with you, we needed about a 2 hour show, especially if our guests come in the studio tonight. We've done some things over the past couple of days to reach out to a lot of the people that are more at risk for gun violence than say you or I. And so we've reached out, actually went physically into the streets, and we passed out. I know it's going to look backwards to you because I'm on my little selfie camera, but these say, I don't know how that looks to you. We got the little back camera lit. Uh, Guns down, stop killing, right? And we've got 10,000 of these. They were donated to us. I was going to buy a couple thousand, but the 10,000 of these were donated to us uh, by Miss Ramunda, who has her own print shop. And so she said, if we're willing to go out into the streets, into the mean streets of Jackson, of which you thought were mean and I thought were mean, um, then and pass those cards out, she's willing to donate those cards. So she actually donated those cards and 2 banners, by the way, those cards and 2 banners. So that's just a blessing in itself because I think 1,000 was going to cost me roughly over $1,000, and so we appreciate that. But as we await our guest, I've been wanting to talk about this. So can we talk about this really quickly? By
Yeah.
the way, this
Excuse me.
go ahead.
I guess before we get too further, Mr. Cooper, want to know what you thought about the New Horizon thing, but you didn't go there, did you?
I didn't go. I didn't watch it. I worked quite a bit, but you watched the whole thing. I think.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with Mr. Cooper. I don't think it solved any issue. It didn't. It didn't. It talk about things that need to be done, which we already know. Nobody had a definitive solution to include the chief or anybody. So I think it was just a meeting to meet again. It was good to have all those people together,
Mhm.
and they did agree that Jackson had a problem.
Mhm.
Now, what do we do? So I don't think it's solving the issues, Mr. Cooper. I just want to address. But go ahead, man. Y'all had and unfortunately I wasn't able to
Using Samsung text
be
to
with
speech
you all.
engine.
So, but I heard y'all had a wonderful life-changing experience out there Thursday night.
I really want to wait. Hopefully, Robert will come on, who was with us. Even if some of the young ladies, if Regina wants to come on, if she's watching, she can just send a text, put in a message that she wants to come on, and I'll send her the link. But to talk about what we saw and what we did. If not, then I'll do it myself. But make sure there's nobody in the studio your way.
I'm kind of pro too.
Okay. So
sound still coming through, but I'm kind of froze.
Okay, might be. So anyway, so what I want to do is go back a few weeks because the hot button issue, and I've been planning on talking about this, man, since this happened. And this is the shooting that happened in Columbus, Ohio, where the young lady with the knife was shot. Her name was Ma'Khia Bryant, and she was shot by Officer Reardon. Okay, I think, to my understanding, I think Officer Reardon had been on maybe since 2019, which still in my eyes is a rookie. And so I want to just unpack what happened and let you all understand when you're dealing with a police officer, that still is a person. Right? And Ernest and I have discussed this over and over again. We talked about our days with the street level narcotics team and how we never expected to shoot anybody. Our whole thing was we chased people, ran, and we fought. I mean, they would fight us, they try to hit us, and we would that's what we did. We physically fought. We never had, I don't think I ever had a I never thought about drawing my gun if we were fighting somebody, right? Even if somebody had a stick or something, I'd try to kind of walk around the car or something like that. And we'll talk about why, right? Why we did that. You may need to reload that. Hey, Jerome, or whoever's watching, are we frozen? Because Perry's saying we're frozen now, and I don't know. We're frozen. So if you can tell me if we're moving, if you can see us moving, then fine. But if you can't, then we're froze. And we're not frozen on my screen, but on his Facebook, we're frozen. So just from that instance, I think everybody saw. Yeah. What about? Can you hear us, Regina? I'm gonna stop my camera. Can you hear us? Well, I guess you can if you answer that question. So I stopped the camera and restarted the camera. Okay, now like I said, on my screen, I'm not frozen, but we're still froze on Facebook. I don't know what to do about that.
Questions? I mean, you still hear the voice.
Yeah. Okay. So again, listen, I'm going to say the devil is a lie, and I'm not going to let this stop us, because between the Wi-Fi and this Dell computer I have, and the this and the that, we broke down to, even if we have to use Ernest's phone, we'll use that, but we're not going to let this stop us from going on. And I don't know if I want to restart this camera. Hold on one second. I apologize, but don't go anywhere. Let's look at this camera here. Hold on one second. Even if I had to turn this camera around, which is something I don't.
The sound is clear, but we're frozen. That's it.
Okay, that's right. Let's turn to the back. Okay, I just flipped the camera back around, so We still frozen.
Yeah.
That's just really strange. All this is stuff is really strange to me, you all. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe that sometimes, you know, people don't want things to get out to the masses for whatever reason, you know. I do believe that. And so, um, again, just I guess we can act like you're listening to a podcast because me and Ernest have radio faces. Where's the camera? We broke the camera. So we'll act like we're listening to a podcast, but I need you to hear this. In particular, I need you to hear what happened Thursday night. Okay, so please listen up. And if this camera comes back on and starts back working again, fine. If it doesn't, I really don't want to cut this off and cut it back on. I guess I could, but I don't want to. Okay, so we're just gonna go with the sound. Just like I said, act like you're listening to a podcast. So let's talk about this Officer Reardon in Columbus, Ohio, shooting of the young lady with the knife. So, question is, number one, you all saw this. How much time did he have to process this event? You saw this. How much time did he have to process this event? And then the probably some of the most important questions are, how comfortable am I in my skill set? So Ernest, when you were on the street, how comfortable were you with your hands, your feet, being able to either approach somebody, evade somebody, get away from somebody, or even somebody with a knife, especially if how comfortable did you personally feel?
I feel real comfortable. I mean, probably since we talking about it now
Mhm.
and having a chance to really think about it, I feel probably too comfortable.
Too comfortable to the point of maybe hubris where might have been a little dangerous for you.
Right,
Right.
right. Till I know I could handle, especially with a knife or a stick, like you say earlier. I just feel like there was no need for
For
a gun.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. In certain situations, do you think that, well, I'm just going to go and ask you this question. Uh, how much of your safety are you willing to put at risk to save somebody else? Meaning, if somebody has a knife, how much of your personal safety, without using your weapon, are you willing to put it to keep this person from being gravely injured with your gun? Your own personal safety. Are you willing to be cut, stabbed, hit with the bat?
Opposed to save someone else.
Right. You're saving this person because you're not gonna shoot them.
Right.
So how much of that?
Oh, that person.
Yeah, right. Or obviously that depends on the person.
Right.
So if it's a guy that's 6'5" and 320 and shredded, you probably not gonna.
No, I'm not gonna worry about his safety at that point.
Right.
I'm gonna be thinking about my safety.
Okay.
But it depends on the person.
Okay.
I think as an officer, you have to be mindful of mental illness,
Mhm.
other type of physical ailment, mentally physical,
Right.
and illness, if you will, and the crime itself.
Okay.
I think all those fall into play when you're out there on the street. At least it did when I was on the streets.
Okay.
If it was someone I have had an altercation with before, and I know that this person is dangerous, then this, they always told us in academy, our main objective was what? To go home.
Okay.
At the end of the day, was to go home. So I think there's so much come into play when we're doing that.
Okay. So just by the mere fact that we're discussing this, that's time it took for us to discuss this. That time was probably about 5 minutes. Then the lastly is, am I comfortable with my decision either way? Am I comfortable either way? Either if I discharge my weapon at this person or try to disarm this person, will you be comfortable in that split second of doing what you're doing?
I will.
Mhm.
Just from my physical ability, especially when I was a police officer, I was in much better physical shape. So I was extremely comfortable.
Okay. What I want you all to understand is I'm talking to one person, right? Ernest played football at Alcorn. He played football and he was a country boy farming and hunting and killing hogs and cows with the bare hand. And so it's the person. So I want you to understand something. When you're talking about delivering deadly force or receiving deadly force, you have to talk about that particular individual. You can't talk about me. You can't talk about Ernest or some of the Jeremy Gordon, some of these other people who have done all kind of fighting for their pretty much their whole life, because this one particular person may not have done any of that, right? And all he was relying on is he's never been in a fight before. We had a bunch of people that had never been in fights before in the police academy, right? And all they're relying on is what they learned in 10 weeks at the police academy to help save them. And mind you, you don't train on defensive tactics 10 weeks. You only have a few hours. I think it's 50 hours worth of training. I'm sorry, that's on average across the country. 50 hours worth of training. So I want you to understand the next time we have an questionable officer involved shooting, depending on those people. I know this one that happened, I think in South Carolina, where they supposedly shot the guy in the back for something, and they're holding the video and it's making it look more suspicious, right? Mm-hmm. You got to understand, police officers are people. We're singular, and we all have lived different lives. We all have experienced things differently, and then more importantly, we're at different stages of our life in policing. I can tell you, when I was a young officer, a rookie, I had to discharge I actually shot somebody who had a knife and a meat cleaver in their hand, and they just hacked and stabbed somebody to death. Now, my first thought was to disarm him. So I shot him in his leg thinking he would fall over, right? But I had been out of the police academy for 2 weeks, so I was still a civilian in my head. Shooting somebody in their leg does not mean they're going to fall over. And this unfortunately, this guy didn't fall over. He was shot 3 times, right? The first 2 times, once in the stomach, once in the leg, and he was still standing and still right in front of us. The last time he was shot in the head. And first of all, the trauma of that, seeing that for me was very traumatic. I went from basically being a rookie cop that
a 20-year experience,
right, hadn't seen anything or done anything with violence, to seeing somebody get their head shot right in front of me within 10 feet. So again, it's going to happen again. And you can't look at police globally. Like, you can't look at me and Ernest globally. Everybody doesn't think like us now. And we thought different back then as well. So, but even on the NET team, the street level narcotics team, our whole thing was what? Jump out the car and chase folks. Every day we used to chase folks and run, right, and fight. And the days we didn't chase them, we'd sit down and talk to them, you know, because they weren't holding anything or doing anything that they shouldn't have been. And hindsight being 2020, are you glad you got that experience? Are you?
You know, I'm on the fence with that. I'm glad I got that experience, but we didn't solve a problem that needed to be solved. And we talked about it before. Mm-hmm. I don't think putting people in jail by the hundreds solved the problem. Okay. I don't. But I'm glad I got that experience. We followed the law and we locked people up. But I just don't think that solved the issue. That didn't help the drug problem in Jackson by arresting everybody.
Right.
It did not help the drug problem.
Right.
So that's where I'm on the fence. Other than that, I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. If I could go and do it again, I'd do it. Only thing I would change is try to get more, I would say, involved in the young, their lives. Right. Trying to find out why they are doing what they're doing.
I think we needed that experience to understand policing holistically, right? And what policing is today, and what it used to be. And we understand how to solve a drug problem in a neighborhood, right? I can tell you how to solve a drug problem. I can tell you how to solve a gun problem. Been there, done that. You know, uh, it's gonna take some hotspot policing and some jumping out some cars, but
Right.
you're more or less putting people on notice that this is not gonna happen around here. We're not gonna
Did
do
we
this.
do it? Did we solve it or did we make them move? What do you think? Because we cleared some neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But did they move to another neighborhood or did
I
they
think a
just
few
stop
people stopped,
altogether?
but one guy, one guy from Yazoo, he said he was never coming to Jackson ever again in his life.
I don't remember that. Okay.
But he said he was never ever coming back to Jackson again. He was from Yazoo, came down here to sell dope on Marion Dunbar Street. Said he was never coming to Jackson in his life ever again. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over that with you all, just to let you understand probably even how that officer was processing it. And unfortunately, lastly, for the young lady, Ms. Bryant, she had been in foster care. And if their foster care system is anything like Mississippi, I feel really bad for her. It's pretty bad in DHS, CPS is pretty bad. It's beyond bad. And those kids, they're not properly taken care of. I know that because I've dealt with quite a few kids on a one-on-one basis that were in the system, were put out at the age of 18. My question is to you: how do you put a child out at the age of 18, right, or even 20, 21? How do you put them out of the system when they have nobody to go to? How do you take a child that was taken from his drug-addicted mother at age 8 or 9 and take him back to the hometown he came from, where his mother is back on drugs, still on drugs? How do you do that? And they were doing that.
So what about somebody going to jail at 17 and getting out at 25,
Mm-hmm.
and you put them back on the street and say, go be a model citizen?
Yeah, that too.
You know,
That too. So if you become the property award of the state for 8 years,
mhm.
and then, like you said, they come put you out the streets, then if they didn't, it's pretty much the state's responsibility to prepare you for the streets, or you end up back in the system, which is
Right.
recidivism, which is why I think I want to say 70 or 80% of the individuals, unless it's just a guess, who have been locked up end up back in the streets. I mean, back in prison. So again, I can just imagine what her life was like, and it's just sad. It's a sad, sad ending. A sad, sad ending. And I was that kind of just stood out to me um, with with uh, with her, because she unfortunately had a tragic ending to her life, and it's just sad. So um, I just kind of feel for her. I don't know if we pop back up or not. So
I'll come back up like it's briefly.
so if you can hear me, I'm watching now. So okay, we're moving now. All right.
No, you frozen.
No, I'm frozen.
No, you may be moving.
Okay. We're trying to see if we're frozen again. And if you weren't with us during the beginning of the show, my whole computer decided it wanted to go to airplane mode and would not go to at 20 minutes before the show, and would not come off airplane mode. We are actually working off my phone. So we're on my phone, and we just had to make this work. it just seems like something's trying to stop us from talking about this particular thing that we did a couple days ago. So we got about 30 minutes left. So let's go ahead, and if our guests come in, fine. If not, I'm just going to keep rolling with it. So this Thursday, some of you guys know that we have been talking about going out to the streets to meet them where they are for the Olympics. In every city, there's a place where most of the people go to congregate, to buy their beer, to buy their Black and Miles, to just hang out, to see who's who and what's what going on. So first things first, we got these cards made up, right? They say guns down, stop killing, right? We have 10,000 of them. They were donated to us. And we got with the Better Men Society, Robert Davis, one of the founders, I think the founder of the Better Men Society. And this is a organization that is primarily made up of men that have been incarcerated for X number of years and have been in their life and been in street life. And they've come out and they are very, very knowledgeable, very wise, right? These guys are wise beyond their years. And so we team with them, and actually their names are on this, their Instagram name and how to contact them is on here. Because we wanted to have a task the people with something to do, an alternative. So you need something to do. These guys do stuff. They just don't have an organization. They actually have a center over there, I think in off of Bay Avenue in Burton Division. And I'm sure there are quite a few organizations like this across the country, but this is ours in Jackson, right? So please, the Better Men Society, the commonly known as BMS, is we're working with them, and it's fairly new, but they're out doing community work. That day they had cut up a lady's tree in her yard and stacked it and packed it all up. And we're talking about they do this stuff for free. They do this because they know it should be done, right? And so it's just a delight just to be around them and to hear the stories they tell. But so we all met up, our group. We have a group called the Citizens of Jackson. And anybody can be in the group, by the way, if you want to join the group. It's no cost, no charge. We talk regularly on the phone or on Zoom, and we plan and we plot and whatnot. And so several of us met up with the Better Men Society. Excuse me. And we decided to go to several locations throughout the city where the gas stations where people congregate. And sure enough, we struck pay dirt with and so we just roll in, man, pull up with the cards, jump out the car, and just start passing them out, boom, 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 and saying to people, hey, brother, hey, young lady, let's guns down, let's stop the killing. And we didn't have not one negative reaction. If I take that back, we had one. But the funny thing about it is I knew the person and they didn't know who I was with my mask on, but that's another story. One negative reaction, and out of probably, I guesstimate 300 people,
Really?
or more, it was only 3 of these on the ground, 3 of them. Now, the reaction that we received, people said that they were going to post the cards on Instagram. They were glad to see somebody out there amongst them. I talked to Robert today, and he said he was getting call after call after call about us being out there. And I want you to understand something, ladies and gentlemen. We just went out there. This wasn't a grand plan, right? The only thing that was planned was the 1 and 2 and 3 locations we were going to go to that night and the time we were going to meet. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. And there's no special skill set that I have. None of them have a special skill set. If anything, I'd say Robert and his guys had, the best skill set of the fact that they at one point in time had lived that life, but some of them are a little older now, and they can kind of relate to some of the younger kids, and some of the guys can't relate to the younger kids because they're just too young that are out there. But I'm gonna tell you, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to go with you.
Yeah,
but let me know. Tell me about what you all saw, what you experienced. Tell me how that went again.
So one of the things that they brought up that I didn't notice was when we came, it got quiet.
Mhm. What you mean?
Just kind of got quiet. It's
Like
like
a calm over the
calm,
air?
right? A calm with the eye of the hurricane. It
Calm
was
before
like
the
that,
storm.
right? But we were the storm,
Okay.
and it was just people were just quiet and very mannerable, and we had people come up to us and ask us for some cars so they could pass some out.
We talking about
Uh,
West Jackson now.
We talking about West Jackson, yes.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
We
Go ahead.
had some of the guys, and they counseled with Robert, and they asked him. I heard one guy ask, "Hey, big bro, how do you do it? How you stay out of trouble? How do you do it?"
Right.
And
Right.
so he told Robert. Robert told him, what he did.
Mhm.
So y'all need to understand this. It's people struggling with. It's people struggling with um, walking the straight and narrow because it's so much out there and so much to get into. And because you don't do it and you go to bed at 9 or 10, 11 o'clock, you don't see that, right? And I say this, you can't keep closing your eyes, man. You can't pick up the the newspaper or go on Facebook or go on click on the news or whatever and complain when literally these people need support, assistance, help, anything you want to say. They need help. They're struggling. They're struggling financially. They're struggling mentally. And most importantly, most of these people carry guns, and they carry guns because everybody else was carrying a gun. That's the only reason they carried a gun.
Right. That's one of the things in the interview you had last week. One of the guys literally said
Right.
one of them said, if you see 10 guys, and
Right.
I thought it was amazing. If you see 10 guys walking, one said 7 of them have a gun. Then the other one say no, 10 of them have a gun.
Yeah, all 10 of them.
And
I believe all 10 of them.
I
saw
do too.
it.
I literally believe that. I believe I had no reason not to believe that. And that's Jackson.
But the 10 that have the gun because the other 9 have the gun.
Right.
Right.
Right. And they don't want to be the oddball.
They don't want to be the
You got a gun,
oddball.
I'm gonna get a gun.
Yes. They don't have a gun because they're terrible people.
They don't want guns.
Yeah.
He said, he hate guns. One of them said they don't like guns. Wish we didn't. But
Yeah.
hey,
They get tired of carrying guns.
I got to defend myself out here. Protect myself, he said. Not defend, he said protect myself. So, what's the solution?
Well,
how do we get them to put the guns down? I think that was one of the questions.
So, I sent this to you, and this came on Channel 12 News. Young man, that his friend named Frog, they call him Frog, got killed at one of the local nightclubs.
Not Jackson Frog? You're in Jackson?
Yeah, his name is Frog.
Okay.
Young man, you don't know.
Okay, I just
It's a
say
different
it ain't
frog.
the old frog. Okay, all right. Okay.
And he was killed, and another guy was killed right out front in front of the club. They both were literally laid on the club, right, like next to the wall of the club, dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this young man made T-shirts, and Frog used to go and buy his T-shirts all the time. So he started a nonprofit, and the money that he'll making or selling the T-shirts, because he said, I think rest in peace, Frog. Really nice T-shirts. He also wants to help kids learn how to do graphic design and things of that nature.
Right.
This is a kid, first of all. It's a young man saying, I want to help kids learn how to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's take that further. Since we're all smart adults on here, I think everybody on here is an adult. Yeah. If a young man, a kid can think of this, of what to do, what are we doing? Right? Jacob mentioned last week, me and you have talked about this for about a couple of years, opening the community centers back up, and the basketball gyms, the cleaning the fields back up. Why is it that Madison's field they look immaculate? Their softball fields, their soccer fields, their youth soccer fields. If you haven't been to Madison soccer fields and baseball fields and parks, then you need to go. And I saved this some years ago. Find me a city with a well-groomed park and recreation area, and I'll find you a city with an extremely low crime rate. All I have to do is look at the parks and recreation, and I know for a fact they have a low crime rate because that city cares about what their taxpayers and their residents experience and what they do in their recreational time and off time. Okay. And so, but um, and I was talking to Robert today about we've got to take control of the city back as people. When we see our city government has failed us, our city government has failed us. And they keep telling us they're doing a great job, and we know that they're not, and they know that they're not. But they keep telling us that, we can dismiss that and keep moving, but we have to make the city. We can't not no longer. We can't wait any longer. We can't wait any longer. Sorry. We thank you.
No, I'm in agreement with you, but there again, there's so much to do. Where do we start? What's it's just I don't know, man.
Yes, Jerome. From doing this outreach, we actually, and we're going to go back out Friday, by the way. Friday at 9 o'clock, we're going to meet at the Arby's on Highway 80 at Metro Center. Don't say you didn't hear that. Friday, if you heard it now, you don't show up, now you're wrong. Because you didn't know, now you know. Friday at 9 p.m., we'll meet up at the Arby's at the Metro Center. We're meeting at that parking lot, and we're going to go back out. So those of you who watch or listen to this again, you just heard it. So if you don't come, that's totally up to you. And you can always reach out to me if you don't have my number, or always send me a message through Facebook. So Regina was with us as well, and she mentioned she wanted me to tell you all that about 10 young men were blocking Highway 80 and revving their engine, and there were some really nice cars and just people blowing their horns at them. We were like right there watching them. We were right there at that particular gas station, and they zoom in the parking lot and they just drive circles around the parking lot super fast. And I'm like, who in the heck are these folks? And so the funny thing about it was, while they were driving, one of the BMS guys, he didn't even wait for them to stop. He just stuck the card out, and they let the runner down and grabbed the car while they were driving. It was so funny. And so when they finally parked at the pumps, they got out and talking crazy and laughing and joking. And so we just walked up to them and approached them, and I handed it, because usually it was more than one person in the car. Handed in the cards, and they drank and they had a little weed and they had their guns, and I think they thought that was gonna deter us, right? But it didn't. It didn't at all. We kept talking to them. I talked to them like they were my children, and we just pleaded with them just to be careful, man. Just be careful. It's dangerous out here. Just come on, please be careful, young brother, because a lot of them think they're invincible, but when you bring it home and talk about their mother or their family, or if they have a child. Yes, Jerome, Arby's at 9 p.m. Metro Center this Friday.
So let me ask you this question. You being a police, how hard was it for you to turn your police off when you seen guns and drugs and they act and drinking and driving? How hard was for you to turn your policeman off? And I got a follow-up question, but I want to know.
It was hard at first, but when my spidey senses kicked in, right?
Okay.
I started getting a little nervous and a little antsy, and I had to remember that I'm just a regular person out here, and I have a job to do, and the job is to make them feel comfortable around. Okay. So I can't just think about myself, right? Because I'm out here for a reason, and the more comfortable I make them feel, right, the more they're more apt to take the card, receive what I'm saying, and pass it along. Right. And then the next time when I see them, they may speak or whatever, and we may just chop it up. So, but again, it probably took me maybe 10 minutes
to turn it off.
Right. And then when I was gone, it was over with. I was regular old Joe Schmo, and talking
So
to
did you
them.
feel better or worse? Did you feel bad for turning it off, or did you feel better?
No, I felt fine.
Felt fine. Okay. I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
When these officers get in these situations
Mm-hmm.
where they see it's going left,
Mm-hmm.
there's a problem. It's a problem for them to turn it off. They want to be an officer to the end. They got to win in the end.
Mm-hmm.
We even had one to say, look, if we can't let them go, because that means they won.
I got you.
You remember that?
Right.
So it's not hard to turn it off for the purpose of the cause, to keep down the conflict. If we can train these officers to do that at times, at the right times. I mean, sometimes people have to go to jail. Sometimes somebody gonna have to be shot, unfortunately. But especially when it comes to a matter of life and death between citizen or what have you. But there's time when I think situation when it don't have to get to a point where someone have to win.
You're right, but you said something.
What?
You said train.
Training. I understand. Yeah, that's where it's gonna come. But you didn't get trained to turn it off and on. You didn't get that training. Where that come from? You said you turned it off. You seen guns. You seen drugs.
I did have training. I had number one, I had life training, but number two, I had training through the FBI undercover school,
Okay.
where I could literally turn into pretty much a thug.
Well, yeah, we did. Yeah. You know, I worked undercover too, so yeah,
I
you're right.
turned into a thug.
Yeah, I can remember
one
an incident. I
yeah.
ain't know forgive y'all for, but that's a whole nother
Oh
story.
yeah.
But anyway, but that's part of training too, and that's part of the situation. But we're talking about in the split of a moment, trying to, you know, I guess reduce a conflict resolution in a sense. If somebody out and at the gas station, you playing loud music, and you as an officer go and say, please turn down the loud music. Then all of a sudden, everybody walk out with cameras and stuff and saying, officer, go eat some donuts. We not bothering anybody.
But it's even how do you say please turn down your loud music? You know, you say
Right.
big bro, come on.
Come on,
I like the sound. It sounds good.
but you can't do
But
that.
bro, you know what I'm saying?
We did that.
Right, rather than please sir, speak.
What happened to them? And do they even talk about that type of switch? Police just have to win now?
You know,
they have to win?
I'm gonna say this. It's a phrase. I didn't make up the phrase.
Which phrase?
It said regularly on somebody's other show, leadership matters. Your department takes on the persona of the leader.
Yeah.
If the leader was great, you're gonna have a great department. You'll have a great department. If your leader was mediocre, you have a mediocre department. If no matter what the leader tells you, you don't have to look at the leader. You can just look at the people that work for them and what's going on. And that's it. That's not a slight at anybody. So, you know, when I was in Canton, my guys did not like me when I first got there because I made them do impound slips, do reports, go back and see Miss Jones. They couldn't stand that.
No.
Oh my God, they hated Chloe.
Yeah.
They hated me.
But it made better for a better department.
Right. It makes you a better officer, makes you a better report writer, and it makes you a better servant to the people.
Right.
Rather than just going up and saying, hey, Miss Jones, so and so, such and such, and getting in the car and going back to work. And so, but again, that's how I was trained, you know.
Right.
I was trained that in Robert Homicide that every week you call that person back and say, you know, we're still working your case. And, you know, even if you weren't working the case, because you have so many cases, you know, still just, I have your case open. I haven't put it in the file cabinet. You know, is there anything that you could tell me that you may learn about the case? Yes, no, whatever. But they appreciated the call.
Right.
And so now we're to the point to where we got Ross Adams from WAPT doing a whole report on dispatch. Is not even, they can't answer the phone. And I don't think that they're not answering the phone on purpose. I don't think that they're hanging up on people. I just think the system, I know the system is messed up.
Right.
But then the deputy chief gets up there act like he don't know what's happening. He actually has been knowing this for a while, I know for a fact, because they had a meeting about it. So my point is, if I work for the police department and I see my deputy chief lying about something that I know to be true, What do you think I'm gonna do as a police officer? You think I'm
Follow
gonna
suit. You gonna lie too.
my deputy chief lie?
Yeah. I just thought, that when you say you saw that and you was able to talk to these guys
Mm-hmm.
and you was able to see these different things and you got different opinions, you got different viewpoints, even from their viewpoint. One say, well, I got guns because they have guns.
Mm-hmm.
And but how do we get them more involved in what we're trying to do? I think that's gonna be the key. Try to get those kids or young people involved in what we are doing, because it go back, like I think it was maybe Tupac or somebody got the Crips and the Bloods to get together. Somebody have to see somebody.
What'd you call him?
Tupac. What is
Tupac.
Tupac?
You sound like Ice Cube calling him Tupac.
Okay, Tupac, whatever. But no, I just said it. What I'm saying is somebody of
Right.
their peer,
Right.
with influence,
Right.
gonna have to say, I'm putting the guns down.
Yes.
And then everybody start putting the guns down. So we're gonna have to get those young men and young women, if you will, involved in what we are doing, because they really want to see a better Jackson. They don't want to carry guns. They don't want to be worried about somebody robbing them. I don't think so. I don't think they want to live like that.
I told you about the one guy with the gun, the other gun problem, which was
other
funny to me, and it's my sense of humor. Guy pulls up in the right in the front of the door of the store. Everybody's in line. Everybody in line got a gun, by the way. They talking normal, but they got a gun. It's hanging out. And, everybody has a gun. One guy pulls up. He got his pants pulled down to his thighs. He got on some boxer briefs with little designs on them. He gets out the car. He's got a magazine or a clip this long, and it's sticking out. So when he gets out the car, he goes up to the door and he realizes, dang, it's too long. Everybody can see this. So he walks back to the car, takes that gun out, gets another gun, a bigger gun, but it's not the magazine. The clip wasn't as long. Sticks it in his pocket. Looks like about a 45. He gets out of the car, walks up to the door, and that gun is so heavy it's pulling his underwear down. So he's, man, dang. So he goes back to the car, gets his other gun, and put that one
not so heavy,
and not so big, and then goes into the store.
And you watching it?
I'm watching now. It's just the funny thing ever to me. It's just funny to me. I'm like, wow. He really does not want to carry a gun. It's an inconvenience for him to carry a gun, but because everybody in line in the store at 11 o'clock at night buying fried chicken and cinnamon rolls that cost $4.82. I'm not gonna tell you how I know that cinnamon roll cost $4.82. By the way,
I know it was sweet. Best, you got it.
It was the best cinnamon roll.
But no, and you remember? I don't know if everybody got a chance to see your last interview with the young man.
Jacob
and want to ask a question. What do you tell a young man who said 16 years old, who says, I think I have death on me? What do you say to that young man? What do you say to that young man? He say, what do I tell him, man? What do I tell a 16-year-old when he come to you and say, I think I got death? And their life expectancy is what he told you. It's they'll love to live to be 75 or 80, but they don't think they're gonna make it to be 50.
Right.
If they stay in Jackson.
Well, I got a question for you. What do you tell a young man?
Okay, we're gonna go back. And I thought about this seriously now. And I guess to go back to the old cliche, and I can't get away from it, I don't care what it is. We're gonna have to find a way to interject God in these lifestyles. I don't know, we old traditional way of putting the Bible, beat them over the head with a Bible ain't working, not working.
And when you told me that, you said, what was your saying that you said? You said somebody ain't riding with me.
Right. My daddy said, it was the old saying, don't let the devil ride with you. Because if you ride with you, he gonna want to drive. And if he drive, he gonna take you somewhere you don't want to go. And when he take you somewhere where you want to go, you're gonna stay too long. So we have to get them to understand that the devil ride. There's a passage in the Bible, if you resist the devil, he'll flee. So as they were riding these cars with their guns and their drugs
Mhm.
and their alcohol, somebody in the car, responsible one, if you will, that's they
Somebody
drugs.
gotta have the brains.
Somebody got some brains in there. Obviously, they went up and got a driver license, so they did pass the driver test. So somebody have a brain. Somebody gonna have to say the devil's not riding with us tonight. Is that okay with everybody here? The devil can't ride. No bull crap, nothing. We not getting into nothing tonight because the devil is not going to ride. I think that's a roundabout way to interject to God. Because if the devil's not around and that's not blocking your mind, God got the opportunity. Jesus got the opportunity to come in and do miracles. But the devil can cloud you. He can beat the devil, of course, but the devil can have your mind so clouded you think you're doing good. So, but if we can get them to say the devil's not riding, I think that would be a way for God to just step in and do. And that's the only way. I don't care what nobody else say. I don't care. And I'm not no preacher. I don't care what all of these Bible token councilmen and everybody say. I mean, they get on the corner and whatever. You're not going to be able to change the situation unless we find a way to interject God into this whole movement with and I know they're tired of that beating over the head of Bible, and that worked for us, because we are further along, we are more mature, our brains are better, and we done went through some bad times, and we done seen things where we know if it had not been for God, it wouldn't have happened. We done seen that, so we know that. But they hadn't had the opportunity to see that. So what we're gonna have to do is try to interject it, not by saying, come to God. Let's start by saying, because they believe in the devil. I guarantee you, the devil is real. Because I believe in the devil. He's real, whether you want to accept it or not. The devil is real.
Let's ask the people. Yes or no? Do you think that a lot of these people believe in the devil? Do you think that we've been out of church so long, or we've been somewhat led astray, or somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Somewhat disillusioned by some of our pastors who haven't been quite the model citizen. Do you all think that these kids believe in the Bible, believe in the devil, believe in whoever, right? Allow however we want to term it, because basically most religions have a right and a wrong. So you can just post yes, post no, whatever. You can elaborate on it if you want. Tanya said, though, Miss Tanya Hughes said, tell them that words are powerful and from them come life or death. Don't speak it into existence. So,
right.
Words are powerful.
Words are powerful, and it's not a game. Someone thinking they got 9 lives, or they can feel their lives like a video game or something, and it's not real. One young man said the accident. There was an accidental shooting, and it shot young man by the head.
Shot him in the head.
Yeah, and it was almost a norm. It didn't really phase him, in a sense. And one guy, he said, was playing with the gun and shot a guy, shot by a guy's head. And then the guy got his gun and shot by his head just because he did it. Yeah. So they don't realize. And there's another discussion that came up about training. And I know we talked about training for these young kids, but they are carrying these guns. I watched on Facebook today. There's a handgun training at the hotel somewhere at Hampton Inn in Clinton. $29 for handgun fundamental training.
Yeah, but they're gonna train you at the hotel.
We talking about children with these guns, man. We're not talking about no.
You know how
I know how you feel about that. I'm not gonna get you started back there because you don't want to train killers.
No, I don't want nobody to shoot somebody saying they learned from one floor Ernest Berry.
Right.
And they learn real good at no. So Jerome said that he thinks we should do in-service training at the police academy. He said that he thinks that we have good practical teaching. I'm just quiet.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome. Appreciate that. I'll take it as a compliment.
I'm gonna let you take that one.
I'll take it as a compliment. We have reached out to the academy,
Not to the academy.
to the chief of police,
And we talked to who else?
the mayor.
And his chief of staff,
I guess that's the chief of staff, Miss
Ms. Omar.
Miss Omari is the chief of staff, and they got our names on
In the training company.
in the
website.
training, in the website and everything. So, but we
How
had
long ago was it?
we hadn't received a call yet, but
How long ago was it?
we are willing to do it for free, and then we made that known. That's how much we love Jackson. That's how much we want to help the police department. Don't be looking at me sideways. You did say you'd do it for free.
I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm wondering how much of this you gonna water down, but you kept it as the kids say 100.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna water it down.
no,
but you
no. We have, and that offer still stands. So,
So I have a training company, and I have worked for a company out of DC where I train officers all over this country. I'm well versed in training. And so you're talking about, I could even bring somebody down here that was one of the trainers with me, and she's a former chief, is in Michigan, retired now teaches college criminal justice, and probably one of the greatest trainers. I think she's better than me because she can disarm anybody. But I've taught officers all over the country, from Sacramento to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Janesville, Wisconsin, to Tampa, Florida, to Maine, Lewiston, Auburn, Maine, to Natchez, Adams County, Mississippi. I always forget places.
all right.
Compton,
You
California.
can put your resume on.
I know I'm not
online
putting
later,
what I'm
man.
saying is,
we understand.
when
We know.
you got a
He
group, when
said-
you got somebody.
He said we are knowledgeable and practical. Okay, son.
but
He
when you
said
got
that,
somebody
man.
who talk to all these different officers with different, you think different mindsets. That's what I'm
Right.
saying.
You talking to the choir. You got him
Yeah.
sold. We got him sold.
No, I'm
So
just saying.
we good. We need to tell that to the mayor and
I'm having a flashback.
okay, all right, right.
How sad I am that we're gonna get that program started back, and I'm leaving y'all. I'm going somewhere else. I offer somebody some free training that costs about $5,000. Train your whole police.
Okay.
Mr.
Jerome,
Looking up.
I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the compliment. All right. What time is it?
It's 8:01. So unless you all have any more questions, comments, like I said, I'm an open book. Ernest is an open book. So if you would like to contact us again, we're going to be going back out into the streets to meet them where they are.
Friday.
Pass out the cards this Friday at 9 p.m. and you can leave whenever you want. I'm going to tell you, I was really tired Thursday. I didn't want to go. I was just tired, and I said, once I go, I'm going to be glad I went. And I'm more than happy I went. And I just nobody could have told me what I experienced. I was speechless for a long time. And
So are we checking for guns?
checking? What do you mean?
Checking for guns. You know how you go to these clubs in these bad neighborhoods and they checking for guns.
Who's gonna check?
You know, when you go in there, they ask you got a gun, and you say no, I don't have a gun. They give you one. So we're checking for guns.
If you don't have, we're gonna give
We're gonna give you a gun. Everybody else got them, right?
I mean,
No, y'all didn't feel any type of fear. Y'all didn't have any type of
that's funny. Denise said, funny, but time is up. Okay, Denise. Look, Denise, this is our show. We'll stay on here till 12 o'clock tonight.
That's your wife, by the way. You know that, don't
So easily.
Yeah.
Denise,
you? She probably outside waiting on you.
she probably just disguised her name.
Yeah.
So Rosario Campbell, by the way, is my old training officer. He trained me back in '95.
I'm sorry. No, Rosario, good officer. I like Rosario. I like Rosario.
He had he was a good training officer. He took his training seriously. Didn't talk a whole lot. He's retired now. He was a great training officer, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I
He
had
was
Michael
I
McGee.
saw him in a couple of interviews in Detective on a couple of homicides.
Yeah. Michael McGee was a great training officer. Pew, great training officer from on the streets.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the status is as far as you learn your most policing from your training officer. You learn how to be a police officer, and then you take what they learned, what they taught you. And I'll tell you what I learned from Rosario. I learned to always have a bag with things in it that I may need. I might not need it for a year, but he had this huge bag he carried with him.
Yeah.
So subsequently, I got this big bag and I put everything.
Everything. You got tourniquets. You got
I got
first aid kits.
I still carry the bag.
You got everything.
I got everything. I got gas.
I see a note from your doctor.
I got everything.
Everything.
So I appreciate that, Rosario. Did she say y'all too funny again? Time is up. She wrote that again. All right. So thank you, Denise, for being our timekeeper. We'll make sure we'll have you on the show next time, get you talking, and then we're gonna tell you time is up, by the way, too. So we appreciate you all tuning in again. We're sorry that we had to use the phone camera, but it may have worked better than the other $200 camera we got in here. Appreciate you all. Again, Friday, 9 o'clock at Arby's, we will be meeting to pass out these cards again. So guns down, stop killing is what they say. We're going to go out again into the streets and meet them where they are.
And tell them the purpose of the cards. Why we are
passing these cards out. We understand this is just a card. It only has a few words on it. But once we start changing the mindset, and again, it's just not the card. There's other things that have to go with the card, right? There's other things that have to be done.
Right.
Conversation that has to be more of a movement. This is just a starting point for us to let them know that we are not afraid to be out here with you. We're not afraid of you. You're not an animal. You're not an idiot. You're not a dummy. You're not a criminal. We are out here with you. And so this is why we decided to go out and do this from day one. And so it costs little or nothing. And we just go out and pass out the cards. We actually have some t-shirts. So again, if you want to come out with us Friday, 9 o'clock, we're meeting at the Arby's at the Metro Center on Highway 80. And from there, we'll go to various locations. So again, thank you all for tuning in. And
happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers. Happy Mother's Day.
Pearl Evelyn, Chloe, Ingrid, Chloe, Christiana, Chloe, all the mamas, Beverly Beard, Sharon Beard. Thank you. All right.
Happy Mother's Day.
We're signing off.
You